Third episode of Reacher Season 4 begins at Russell Plum's ramshackle, condemned loft. Reacher, Tamara, Jacob, and Plum are trying to figure out their next step. But Plum has already created a new problem. After becoming frustrated about his van being stolen, the journalist posted information about the mysterious flash drive online, including enough details to attract unwanted attention. It works. Unfortunately, it works far too well. The CIA has tracked them down, but they aren't the only people arriving at Plum's hideout. Another heavily armed group storms the building. Interestingly, these attackers immediately open fire on the CIA agents, making it clear that the two groups pursuing Reacher are not working together. Reacher doesn't waste time trying to understand their allegiance. He goes into survival mode. Using whatever is available inside the building, including wasp spray, Reacher turns the cramped loft into a battlefield. His military experience and brutal efficiency give him the advantage, and one by one, the attackers are taken down. Eventually, only one survives. Reacher wants answers, but the man doesn't have much time to provide them. Before they can get useful information out of him, he dies. However, Reacher discovers something important on the man's body, a note containing two addresses. One is Plum's loft. The other appears to be the location where Lila is staying. That immediately tells Reacher that Lila is in danger. He contacts her and warns her to move. Meanwhile, Tamara uses one of her contacts to help them obtain a clean vehicle. They can't keep using cars connected to people already involved in the investigation, especially now that multiple groups are tracking them. Tamara also manages to find a new home for the cat they rescued from the murdered OnlyFans model's apartment. It is a strange little detail in the middle of a deadly conspiracy, but the group is at least able to get the animal somewhere safe. Eventually, Lila calls Reacher using his burner phone. She tells him that she and the people traveling with her are safe, and the two arrange to meet at a bowling alley. Reacher decides to meet Lila alone. He knows she has already lied to him once, and he doesn't want her to become nervous and shut down if Jacob, Tamara, and Plum are all present. Meanwhile, Tamara takes Jacob and Plum to Detective Doherty to investigate another important lead, Anna's missing car. At the bowling alley, Reacher confronts Lila about her deception. This time, she finally tells him the version of the story she claims is the truth. Lila is not simply a leukemia patient looking for her biological father. She is a journalist. Her real goal is to uncover secrets involving the United States government and expose what she believes is a terrible crime committed overseas. She also reveals that Amisha isn't actually her mother. This explains why Reacher and Jacob were suspicious of the woman's unusually youthful appearance. Lila explains that Amisha and her husband were living in Indonesia when the country was struggling under the influence of a brutal military ruler named General Putra. As Putra's power increased, ordinary citizens became increasingly concerned about the military's role in the country. Amisha and her husband protested. Their actions brought them into conflict with Putra's forces. They were arrested, and Amisha's husband was eventually killed. The connection to John Sampson is what makes the story explosive. According to Lila, Putra and his soldiers were trained by the Delta Force unit Sampson belonged to during his time in Indonesia. Lila believes that makes Sampson responsible, directly or indirectly, for what happened. Her goal isn't actually to force Sampson to acknowledge her as a daughter. She wants to expose the truth. And the flash drive supposedly contains the information she needs to prove it. The story gives Reacher a new explanation for Anna's behavior, but there are still obvious inconsistencies. Lila has already lied about her identity, and her first story was designed to make Reacher emotionally sympathetic to her situation. Yet Reacher remains willing to help her. Before he can ask everything he wants to know, another group of armed men attacks the bowling alley. The ambush catches Reacher off guard. That alone is unusual, because Reacher is normally extremely difficult to surprise. The attackers manage to get close before he fully realizes what's happening, putting both him and Lila in immediate danger. Once Reacher understands what is happening, however, the situation changes quickly. He attacks the men using everything around him. The bowling alley becomes a chaotic battlefield, with Reacher improvising weapons and using the environment to his advantage. He fights his way through the attackers, taking advantage of whatever objects are within reach. Lila also helps him during the fight. Eventually, Reacher manages to defeat the attackers, allowing Lila and the people traveling with her to escape. While Reacher is dealing with the attack, Tamara, Jacob, and Russell follow their own lead. They finally locate Anna's missing car. It is badly damaged and appears to have been abandoned after Anna traveled to Philadelphia. Inside the trunk, they discover belongings from a trip Anna took during the previous winter. This provides an important clue. The heavy coat Anna was wearing on the subway apparently wasn't something she planned to wear when she left home. The warm clothing was simply something she had with her because of the circumstances. That means Anna's decision to travel to Philadelphia may have been much more spontaneous than they originally thought. But the biggest discovery isn't the clothing. It's another identification badge. The team had already found Anna's identification at her home, so finding a second badge in her car raises an immediate question. Why would Anna have two? The Pentagon doesn't normally hand out spare identification badges casually. More importantly, this particular badge reveals something about Anna that completely changes Reacher's understanding of her. Jacob is already emotionally overwhelmed by the case, especially after learning about the murdered woman and the possibility that Ben could be in danger. He decides to take the badge and investigate it himself, even though doing so violates proper evidence handling procedures. Russell immediately warns him. Plum has experienced the consequences of challenging powerful government institutions before. His own career was damaged after he investigated information that powerful people didn't want exposed. He knows that Jacob could easily destroy his career by tampering with federal evidence. But Jacob isn't thinking about his career anymore. He wants answers about Anna, and more importantly, he wants to find Ben. Russell examines the badge and makes a startling discovery. Anna had level 8 security clearance. That is far higher than what would normally be expected from someone described as an ordinary clerk or employee working in an Army records department. Suddenly, Anna's death makes much more sense. She wasn't simply a low-level government worker who accidentally became involved in something she didn't understand. She had access. She could potentially have seen classified information. And she may have discovered something that powerful people were desperate to keep secret. The badge also provides them with an address connected to a secure government facility. Before they can investigate further, however, their activities attract Doherty's attention. Unlike Tamara, Doherty isn't willing to risk his career by becoming involved in a conspiracy that doesn't officially concern him. For now, the group manages to follow the lead. Meanwhile, Reacher has survived the bowling alley attack, but is injured. He returns to his hotel room, where Lila joins him and helps clean his wounds. Their conversation becomes more personal. Lila tells Reacher about a bracelet that was given to her by the journalist she describes as her mother before that woman died while working in Indonesia. The story is meant to reinforce Lila's motivation for investigating what happened there. Her emotional connection to the past makes her determined to expose the people she believes were responsible. But there are still warning signs. Lila has lied to Reacher. She has changed her story more than once. She has deliberately manipulated his sympathy. And now she is presenting herself as an investigative journalist pursuing a government conspiracy. Despite all of those inconsistencies, Reacher continues to trust her. Part of the reason may be that he has developed a personal attraction to her, which makes it harder for him to look at her objectively. After spending time together, Reacher decides he still needs to speak with John Sampson. He leaves during the night to confront the politician again and find out whether Lila's new claims about Indonesia are true. Sampson admits one important part of her story. He did meet General Putra. Sampson confirms that he was stationed in Indonesia as part of a highly classified Delta Force operation. However, he strongly denies committing or assisting any war crimes. He insists that whatever Putra's forces did, Sampson did not participate in it and did not authorize it. The details of the mission remain classified, meaning Sampson cannot simply explain everything to Reacher. But there is another issue Reacher needs to settle: Nolan Cahill. Reacher tells Sampson that Cahill was on the subway the night Anna died. Sampson refuses to believe it. According to him, Cahill was not present that night. But Reacher knows what he saw. He was sitting in the same subway car when Anna died, and he personally remembers Cahill being there. That makes Cahill's behavior even more suspicious. Reacher and Sampson eventually confront Cahill. For the first time, Cahill is forced to face the man who remembers seeing him on the subway. But instead of explaining himself, Cahill reacts in a completely unexpected way. He looks at Sampson and apologizes. Cahill speaks about Sampson's future and praises his potential to become a good president. His words sound less like those of a man trying to defend himself, and more like a final goodbye. Then Cahill walks to the edge of the building. Before Reacher or Sampson can stop him, Nolan Cahill throws himself from the roof. He dies without answering a single question.